Welcome back to Gun and Shot TV. I'm going to revisit something that I talked about before. This is a Browning 1900. It was pretty much the first automatic pistol design. It's in 32 ACP. John Browning designed this. He also designed some really neat pocket pistols. This is a 1903 Colt. This is yet another 1903 Colt. This one's a nickel one, similar to this. So if you want to pimp out your pocket gun, that's what you would do back in the day. And then I've got an Ortiz and a couple other 32s. I'd like to make a video with some of them or review some of them. I finally found some 32 ammo. And maybe I also found some ammo for this guy, which is a 1903 Pocket Hammer, which is 38 auto ammo. So anyways, I've got these guns sitting around. I already covered this gun. I made a video talking about it and a lot of the stuff. The problem is there's something wrong with the safety, and I didn't have a magazine. Well, I looked around on eBay. I found a Triple K mag that the bag was ripped where it said the year, and the seller thought it was a 1900 to 1909 FN Browning magazine. Well, they didn't make anything else in 32 in those years that Triple K makes a mag for. So I knew it should be an FN 1900 mag. So I scored this for 10 bucks. I also had a problem with the safety. Now, I already took this apart and found out that the safety I had was fine. I ordered a replacement from Numrich, and it turns out the safety I had was just in the wrong place. I put in this safety, and it was too long, so I think this is a fitted part. So I just put the factory one back in because it seems to work now that it's in the right place. Now I actually get positive engagement, and it clicks and it stays where it is. So, but the one thing I didn't find, and why I'm making this video, is I couldn't really find very good instructions how to get in there and get to that safety, how to get this thing apart. I found an actual, like a document on Marstar Canada's website that had like step-by-step written instructions, but I couldn't find a video. I found some videos field stripping it, taking the slide off, but I'm going to show you how to get into that safety and that backstrap area. I won't necessarily take everything out, but I'll show you what you need to do to get there. And then from there, just figure out what you need to work on. So I'm gonna try and go as quick as I can because now I've done this 3 times. First step is you're gonna take out these 2 screws. Well, actually, don't do that. Check, make sure it's empty. I don't have any loaded guns, and I check, and I usually do it off camera, but I try and sometimes remember to do it on camera just so you guys don't think I'm gonna shoot myself. And you want to actually, before you take these screws all the way out, you want to drop the trigger so that tension goes off the striker there. So you're going to take these 2 screws out. You got 2 screws, they're different length. The one in the rear is the shorter of the 2, and then the one in the front is the longer of the 2. And then the slide comes forward. Now this is a nickeled one, so it's a little thicker and it's a little harder to get apart. I found an easy way to do it is if you pull the slide back and let it go forward, it'll get that kind of loosened up for you without having to hammer on it. And then you can just pull forward. Now your slide's off. There's not really a lot in the slide. This is your spring and striker mechanism. You're going to lift this up and then push back, and that all comes apart. And your next step is you're going to take the grips off. They are a screw with a metal plate behind them. So you're going to unscrew them, and that metal plate should move, and the grip should lift off. It doesn't always. Sometimes you got to reach a pick in the bottom. Let me show you what that looks like with one side off. So I'm going to put my screwdriver in here, and I'm going to go backwards. And then you hit a magic point, and they should just fall off. Now you can go too far, and now it's not going to fall off, and you may have to reach in with a pick. But now you have your grips off, you've got your frame. Your next step to get it apart is you're going to take out this pin that holds the mag release. I found if you put it up on that lanyard hook and take a punch and just tap it a few times, it should come out. Now, I had problems initially. This was really stiff until I got it apart and got some oil in there. It was full of crud from God knows how many hundreds of years. Well, not hundreds, but probably 100 years. I would bet this gun's probably 1920s or older. Now your pin that holds The mag release is out. The mag release is out. The mag release goes in the gun like this with that hook facing that way. And this is your trigger bar spring. Those are out. Now you need to take out your trigger bar. So to do that, you're going to kind of, you can see it's in here. I reach in here with a hook here and grab it and hook it and pull it down towards the mag well. And it's kind of hard to see in here, and I don't know if you'll really be able to make it on camera, but you grab it and hook it and pull it out, and it should come out here. Okay, so I got the magic spot. It's hooked, it went down, it falls out in the mag well. Now you got your safety. To get your safety out, you're going to push the safety between safe and fire, and it will hit a point where it can ride out of the spring that holds it in tension. Now you're just going to keep kind of working it from there, and the spring is holding it, as is the sear, and it's kind of a bear with that spring. Once you get past the spring, you should be able to turn it. I find once you go backwards, it'll come out that last little bit. So now you have your gun's pretty much disassembled. There's a pin holding the trigger right now. I'm not going to take that out. There's a pin holding the sear and a sear spring, which is here. Supposedly, according to the instructions I saw, once you get that pin out, the sear spring will pull out where the sear is. It's just shoved down. And this is your safety spring. To get that out, you push down on it and you pull it down out of the bottom. So that's pretty much everything you can take out if you want to go those steps. I've had this thing apart like 3 times already, so I'm not going to do those. But they're pretty self-explanatory once you get in there. It's just going to be, like I said, pushing down on the safety spring and pulling out, or, like I said, taking out this pin that holds the sear and then pulling the sear out, and then the sear spring should come out behind it. So I'm going to start putting everything back together because that's really all there is to take apart. To get your safety in, you're going to do the same thing. Put it where it was. You may need to push on the sear to get the safety into the sear area. Now the hardest part is going to be getting this goofy spring that holds the safety back around the safety, because it is under a lot of tension. My one, like I said, it ended up, the spring had just fallen down. I don't know how the spring fell out of place because it is under so much tension. It's crazy. And once again, you have to kind of like get it started here, and then I'm going to push down on the safety with this hook until it's seated in the hole in the other side of the frame. And then we just need to wiggle it until it seats back in its little spot here, which is going to be easier with tension. But it is under a lot of pressure, and it just kind of snaps in. Once you get the safety in the exact right position, it'll snap in. So now our safety is repaired and functional. The next step is you're going to put your trigger bar in. These 2 projections go up. This one goes forward. You're going to put it in. It's got to be on fire. It can't be on safe because you need to be able to move that sear. But if you just push a little bit on the sear, or push down on these ears, it kind of just like pops in place there, and they seat. And now you can see that it's flush. You can barely see that trigger bar. So it should be all the way up, and like I said, those 2 ears are facing upwards. So that's all back together. Now the next step is we need to put the spring that puts tension on that trigger bar back into the trigger bar, and there's a little slot in the back of the trigger bar that you're gonna put it in, and it's difficult to do it on camera, of course, but you're gonna find that slot and get it in that slot, and then line up the spring with the bend in it so it fits on this pin, and then you're going to take your mag release and you're going to put that back in place. That holds on the spring, so the spring's double duty. It also keeps your mag release in place. Now you kind of play with the mag release and make sure it's in this projection here, and then you can play with it, and you might be able to get the pin in by hand from the other side while you're holding it in tension. you can also use the trick of putting a punch through there. So I got it in the perfect spot and it slid right in. First time I took it out, it was a bear because it had so much crud on it. But after taking it out a few times, now it's really free, so it's easier to slide in and out of there. So now the frame is back together. I'm going to put on my grips. I kind of showed you how those come out. Here's how the installation is going to go. Let me do the other side actually. So you're going to turn the screw, and that should turn that bar. But the bar has to actually seat on the frame right, or you're kind of wasting your effort. So now, and then you got to be careful. These are old. I don't know if these are wood or Bakelite. I think they look like Bakelite, but I never know. Some of these older guns, it's hard to tell. I'm pretty sure they're Bakelite. But you do the same thing on this side. And somebody boogered up these screws pretty bad, but there's not much I can do about that now, and I'm sure the screws themselves are super expensive. So now the gun is back together as far as the frame is back together. To put the striker assembly and the spring assembly back in, you're going to slide it. It needs to be in fire so you can pull the trigger, so you can get past that point, because otherwise the sear catches that assembly. So you pull the trigger, it slides in. Now you're going to pull this spring forward, put it on that stirrup. You're going to put your slide back on. The spring actually goes on top of the slide. And put some grease or oil or whatever you want to put on there before you get it back together. And then you're just going to push it back like that. So I got your 2 screws. You're going to put your screws back in. The shorter one goes in the back here. Be careful, obviously. If the screwdriver slips, you're in a world of hurt. And then the longer one goes in front. And now it should be all back together. Obviously, make sure it's unloaded, but function check it. Make sure it's on safe. The trigger doesn't work. On fire, the trigger does. When you fire, that cocking indicator comes up so you know it did fire. Everything looks good to me. Make sure your mag goes in, locks in place. Not the worst pistol to take apart, but I couldn't find any other information on it. So hopefully you found this useful. Like to see more videos like this, subscribe. If you like the video, like it. If I gave you a little bit of help, feel free to leave me a comment too if you know anything that I missed or something that I should know about taking it apart that I didn't address. But for Gun and Shot TV, this is Chris. Thanks for watching.